What up, Schmoedown rockers? Yeah. The Houston live match, and, well, I'm not sure you're gonna like what I have to say, and that thing is, I gotta retire the hat. Apparently. I mean, I might make a couple extra appearances here and there, but, other than that, not really too much to it. But anyways, may as well just put them back on because it's nice and sunny out. But anyway, so, Action Civil War, or at least the match most people, or at least the big battle happens finally between Andrew Guy and Ben Bateman. Dastardly Drew Guy, boss Ben Bateman. Anyway, before we get to that part, and it's all done live in Houston in the Booker T's World Gym Arena. Or at least it was live streamed, and then they separated into the two parts, which worked out a hell of a lot better than, trying to separate out certain other parts. So. But anyway, Double Toasted one I kind of enjoyed. And I don't think anyone was surprised with the knockout. At that point, it was more sort of story. I think they focus a lot more on storylines, and what better way to kind of go with that kind of thing than to be it in a wrestling ring. Although, I felt it overtaking a certain particular match. But, I will say, I think we all saw them eventually weaving in what they needed to do with that one storyline coming. Mostly the fact that after this match, we don't know what to do much with Ben. He wouldn't, if he hadn't won, and we found out that he would have. And Christian had stated what would have happened with that. Also, the whole thing, I mean, it is still happenstance. It just came across to me when I first saw it, like most people who have been bitching about the wheel. I'm just glad I got a little bit over it, and I started to just like what we got out of it, to the point where the problem is when it started out, it made me kind of somehow flip the switch to Team Guy out of sympathy, even though I knew for a fact he wasn't going to. It didn't seem like he was going to win that one the way it was going, and more so the round two. I mean, Guy did fairly decent, and Ben had a near perfect round on that one. Before we get to the Double Toasted thing, Corey Lee, I'm sort of a toasty myself a little bit. To some extent. Corey Coleman, Marvin, can't remember last name, unfortunately. I feel bad about that. But, anyways, they pretty much got their asses kicked. Because they really underestimated, I mean, they're good. They know their movies, but it's pretty clear they didn't really study up on things they probably needed to. Or even get the time to actually do so. They're definitely an attitude, to a certain extent, at least Corey Coleman, more closer to what you kind of get out of Wildberry, like acts like Wildberries and whatnot. So, yeah, Wildberries is going to be fun. When one of these days, if they go back to Houston and it's Wildberries and Double Toasted, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, and of course Booker T is going to finally have a chance to do the one idea he wanted to do, and that's, probably put a Makuga through a table with all he's been saying about how wrestling sucks and all that stuff through Collider Live. But anyway, which in fact that's what we were supposed to get, was that and Founding Fathers, but instead we wanted to be getting that earlier on because that was the best they could do with it. And I guess they had to come up with some excuse to keep him from being involved with that, because I guess he eventually had a few weddings here and there, and he wouldn't be able to make any other matches in attendance, and they had to come up with some storyline bullshit, I guess. And Flossing the Belt wasn't exactly what I had in mind with that, but anyways, and we wanted to get that double toasted match, which was, of course, on paper sounds like a much better match, but given Double Toasted his only match that they have been involved in and won was Real Rejects, which that was merely pure luck on that to some extent. I mean, don't get me wrong, Marvin knows what he's... Or Morton. I keep saying Marvin. I'm sorry, man. But, yes. His win was awesome. The very beginning when it came to the first rounds, and the whole, basically the back and forths between Roca and, especially when they came to the entrance and how they basically kind of were trying to still play off heel-ish as a heel team, I guess, towards Founding Fathers, which was still funny. And they play it too, but they play it in a way that's very similar to kind of how Wildberries are. Though if they were Wildberries, they could have been still heelish, but they don't come off as heels. I don't know. I dig it. Oh, it's a lot day. Well, not really, but anyway. I definitely, it took me a while to hear what they were going to do with Andrew Guy, though. If he had won. He was still going to get beat with a chair. So, and that whole story, which is on the Facebook, I mean... And him saying with the whole wheel thing and eventually wanting to fix a better wheel. I want to come up with an idea to do it, but I'd have to have help to do it. But I don't know if that's really going to happen. But anyway, I'm also looking forward to, of course, what will be at the Collision, the Kalinowski versus Smets. And the winner goes to the live event in San Diego Comic-Con to face Rachel for the Intergeekdom belt. Can't wait for that matchup. He's involved with him, or was the guy girl? It's like, you already still Ben's girl, technically, if we're going off if we're not breaking kayfabe. Why do you need to do that for them? What you do to me, man? What? I kid, but, you know, whatever. Anyway. I'm happy with what we got. I'm happy with what we got, at least with the Double Toasted match. And I think with the matchup with Double Toasted and the back and forths, even the Jane Fonda joke that Roca pulled on him, that was kind of being meta in his own right, was pretty cool. Then there's the whole some black guy joke from him, and then him going and then Roca returning back in the following question with answer for the second question was some black guy Eddie Murphy. Corey's retort: "Kiss my black ass, Eddie Murphy." You might want to be careful in case Eddie Murphy, for some reason, is actually watching a Schmoedown fan and is watching this. In that episode, he'll completely take it out of context and thinks you're telling him to kiss your black ass. just saying, Corey, you gotta watch out for that shit. But regardless, it's funny. And there was a nice little highlight. Shout out to fellow Action Army brat. I guess that's what we're calling ourselves. Or Army man, I guess. Be nicer and politer. Fellow Action Army man, or brat, or whatever. As well as fellow Dungeon Head, Billy Belford. At first I thought it was for some reason his beaker. I don't know, but it turns out it was Billy Belford who basically showed his Action Army pride really well. More so for Team Guy. I mean, I just... I want to say it here, and you're going to see it as the alternate thumbnail for this vid, and that will be, you, sir, deserve a gold star. I don't know if you'll like it or not, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I may change it instead to fist pump moment, just to kind of be a nice little shout at AMA. I don't know which. I may stick with the gold star thing. If I can't really draw anything to do gold star, I may just say fist pump. I might just do fist pump moment. I'm still debating on it, really. You'll find out later. But anyway, that was interesting to just seeing his face the whole time. Get into it. Of course, I think Bright next to definitely a super Action Army fan, Action Army member, Paul Diazzo. Denuzzo, I think is what I mean to say. I'm sorry if I'm butchering names here. Forgive me. Ooh, I've been having an issue with that jawbone here. I don't know if it's from too many listening to too much stuff or what. Or just the pad squeezing on me with some of the shades I wear. Not so much this one, but the other stuff. Anyway. And then when it comes to the Action Civil War itself, yeah, I was kind of on Team Bateman by the way they set things up, and that was understandable. I could totally understand if people by the end of the year think that winds up finding out that the whole thing was really more of a ruse to just take the Horseman down from underneath, and I understand that. But for now, I guess we're gonna go along with his face turn, him and Dagnito's, that is. Though it seems that from something I'm not going to mention here, there's a hint about the potential possibility of that being an actual thing. But I'm not sure. But we'll talk about that in the next video for next week, for this coming week's matches. And it mostly that was also a knockout, but it was also a good story. Mostly what happens with that is Ben having the having the unfortunate luck of picking movie release dates on his first spin and then getting opponent's choice on his final spin. And then having Ben eventually wind up getting spinner's choice and then deciding to opt to spin again, mostly just to kind of, make it look less like it was rigged. But the fact that he got spinner's choice again, and then he tried to spin it again, just to make it look good, and then guy's frustration basically got to him when it came to that loss. I mean, just pick another category. And it's like, I don't blame him, actually, and I don't think anybody did. In all honesty, it's almost, it did kind of, despite what small little subtle things that even through Collider Live he had said, I don't think it would have been good enough. It clearly wasn't good enough to not make people think it was rigged. Even I was kind of felt disappointed to the point where when they finally did get to the parts that were wrestling-esque, if we're going to put it into certain terms, that's what it bothered me a bit. I'm glad he finally had to find the balls to kind of address the whole thing on his administration page, on the administration on the main page. I guess I'm looking forward to that. And maybe and then them discussing it in a recent episode of Collider Live from yesterday, it seems. So. And which they didn't really talk in depth, and she didn't kind of go kayfabe about it. So, with what her end of things were with that. Yeah, mostly it just had a lot of interruptions like a normal wrestling match would have, compared to what we got out of the team match with Double Toasted and Founding Fathers. Though because they were there, Founding Fathers were there, they clearly were meant to be there. Mostly because I think Roka wanted it, and two, they were already setting up and building into the storyline of, is Bateman going to be a horseman? And Bateman said he wasn't, but they were teasing the possibility that it would still happen, even with the way Roka was thinking about it after that conversation where Ben said he wasn't. But, which was only reiterating something he had said in his Inside Schmoedown interview with Ken Knapsack. There, but it seems they were building into it. Dagnino getting booted out, but then all of a sudden Robert Barnett comes in, and it just... Eventually, it was meant to build up to where, since Booker had chosen Team Guy and realized he backed the wrong horse, even more so when Guy started winning, even doing the sweat thing, almost looking as if he was waving a white flag. It looked, just the way he played things off, and it was interesting. And then of course Roxy coming out, making it seem like it was for Bateman, and he was like, okay. It was already, and then when he found out it was actually for Guy, and it was just him using it, and it was at that point I think that Booker, through storyline purposes, realized he backed the wrong horse in Guy and went with Bateman, and of course certain form of exchange in words between Booker and Dagnino, as of course bringing out the rest of them, pretty much hinting at him already joining the Horsemen. And with the way the things were going into round two, or at least especially once it got to Ben's spin, it already looked like it was in his favor, especially once he hit Spinner's Choice and then pulled it again. But it's more so that he did it because he didn't want it to... He chose to do it just to kind of... And also just to throw out some form of shock and just some disbelief, and then obviously show a little bit of his old school cockiness. I can't lose! And overall, yeah. And then, of course, he chooses Oscars and pretty much nails every one of them. Even if he nails every one of them, whether or not I don't entirely remember if he went multiple choice off the top of my head with any of them, but either way, he did enough to essentially end the match right then and there in knockout, and then wind up eventually once again and threw at the steel chair, but which Burnett brought into him, having Booker take it from him, hand it to Bateman, and with Roka basically stopping him from leaving the ring. Ironic how both of them worked together to basically do it to him. Which I think a lot of people were expecting a table, from what, according to the short little thing that they did. There's one that's meant for public that doesn't spoil and break kayfabe completely. In case people didn't see it. And yeah, there was. I wish I would have liked. Don't get me wrong, I'd like to have gone myself, but I knew that was kind of between the distance and just certain things happening nowadays, it's become next to impossible. And the more likely chance that I could would be if it was St. Louis. To Chicago at the time frame that they were doing it was just not going to cut it. Was unfortunately not going to cut it, even though I wanted to. At the same time, finding out where the weather was up there in comparison to where I was living at, yeah, it was. But anyway, with Houston, overall, just having that in an arena, it finally was, for Karloff, it worked out real well. And also, I forgot to mention the opening thing where they do their little thing to kind of, with the crowd itself, their little talk thing and build up into it before they get to the actual matches and stuff. And, I think Karloff's retort of, well, now I forgot it. Instead of him being referred to as baby carrots because of the orange suit, it's, special sauce. I know, it's funny. It took him a while to build in and lead to it, but it was still funny, regardless. Special sauce Ellis. Special sauce burger. That could easily take out of context if you wanted. Obviously, which I think even he knew that, but anyway, but overall, it seems Roxy's kind of now part of the family, which kind of makes me wonder where the Odd Couple stand on Roxy at this point, and where that's going to go storyline-wise. Does that mean the Odd Couple are going to wind up a part of the family? Or what's the deal with that then? Or is just Roxy going to wind up with the family? How are they going to handle that storyline-wise? I'm not sure. But Ben joining the Horsemen, it really just managed to work itself out. And then that reveal, though not as surprising or as nearly as impactful as when the Five Horsemen were revealed last year. At the second live event last year. But this one was fine. I mean, it was kind of Dagnino's, I guess, honorary type, and I guess manager involved, but I think mostly just for who's the boss. I don't know if he'll bother to come out with Founding Father as manager for that with Founding Fathers or not. It's up in the air. But I mean, until they can find someone else, which it seems they might be. I don't know. I can't really talk about that yet. Plus, I'm not even sure that's a good idea, given my allegiances and stuff in the Facebook pages, and then we're just gonna leave it at that without necessarily spoiling anything. So, also, Bo, speaking of the Smets corruption thing, I can't wait to see this one corruption kid get his just desserts for running his mouth. You see, I had a duty to uphold for having started the damn page for Smets to prove my loyalty. I didn't have to. I'm just lucky that, you didn't ask what I needed to bet. That was on you. It's a little too late now. We already technically shook hands via GIF, via Cyclops and Ken GIF? No, Ken, no, Jin from, no, not Jin. I don't know. Ryu from Street Fighter, basically. It was fun. But anyway. And he had to message, and he mentioned it on the corruption page. Oh, that's so it's just seeing how that played out is just like, yeah, I'm gonna do my part on that too now. And I'm like, so yeah, that part's gonna be fun. So hopefully that's more reason for me to look forward to Collision. And yeah, Dungeon Heads unite for that. But I was part of corruption to a degree, so I'm slightly hoping that he at least, puts enough of a fight puts him in round 3 for once. I mean, he's waiting for it too. He's starving for competition, Hector Navarro was supposed to, but he never delivered. And I know for sure Kalinowski can. The difference is, I don't expect him to win against Smets. I'm telling you that right now. Good luck with that. Without that, Kalinowski, I mean, I know we're on and off with each other, but when it comes to the rest of your little crew, I enjoy you guys. Even though it's going to be, I'm going to be in a tight spot now once Oyama goes up against you. Because of his joining of the dungeon. So, it seems. So, and I was kind of upset with Zipper and his actions of betraying his friend for them to the point where I didn't feel sorry for how corruption handled things. But it led to, and I had to start liking him again, which, plus they had a storyline thing with him and his former partner and World's Finest that obviously went to crap because of the worst Intergita match of the season. But other than that, I think, and what has already been said about the Houston live event itself, I enjoyed it, and plus the way they ended that, I forgot to mention, was glorious. Rocky 3 little tribute between Dan 3 ending tribute between Dan Murrell, between the Founding Fathers themselves, Dan Murrell, Dangerous Dan Murrell, and the Outlaw John Roca. That was kind of funny, and the way they handled it, and I didn't realize they were going to do pit, and if I had known, that they were going to do certain patrons, especially, you know, ones that are more so 25 and up, I would have found a way to get that $25 tier. If I could afford to. Just so I could do that. So I could have that name in that and have pat on the back, though. I'm happy for people like Nico, fellow Dungeon Heads, Nico and C-Dub. So, though I'm a little peeved right now with C-Dub. I don't know why he thinks I'm not a reactor. I mean, I guess it could count more for after show. I guess. But, I don't know. But, if that wasn't really reactor, you wouldn't have added me to the page. But doesn't mean you should kick me out. Because that's just going to put up some bad blood I don't want with you, man. Because I'm actually happy that you're considered a nomination for the award. And I'm glad that they're not making it an obvious thing to do that with the Schmoedown Rundown. Or even Inside Schmoedown for that matter. And they may just do them now for a separate category from the reactors, which is good. So, that's pretty much mostly Schmoedown. Most the live event in Houston, amongst other things, I guess. I'll probably title it that way. So, what did you guys think about the Houston matchups? I eventually learned to like what happened with our main events. I got to see the live stream first before it got released into 2 parts this past week. I felt better. I felt able to adjust to it better that way on my end, which is why I feel like some people weren't able to because of the wheel thing, which I feel like that was the one thing that still became a constant issue with me. But I'm glad that they were bothering to be able to address it. And I loved what Harloff had to say about the guy storyline, so they knew that they were initially planning on an alternative, you know. And it was an interesting, cool idea. And yeah, I guess it would have kind of been depressing. So I guess it's a good, even though it came off depressing for me because of the way the second round went, in terms of just how it just felt so lopsided between the two. But overall, I grew to eventually appreciate what we had with that match. So thanks Harloff for even giving us that chance, and I'm still willing to be a proud patron. I just wish I, wasn't an inconsistently proud patron, because issues again. So we'll leave it at that. Which I'm gonna have to throw Emma a message again. But anyway. What did you guys think of the Houston match? Leave a comment below, let me know. As always, guys, I guess, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. If you smell what the movie trivia Schmoedown and Schmoedown Rocks is cooking. Seriously, C-Dub, we need to talk this over.